Hello and welcome to the last mixtape. My name is Stephen White, and on this week's show, how I was wrong about Cmat and the latest music from the week that was. But first, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. The words of Anaïs Nin. Why, dear listener, and indeed, dear viewer, I hear you ask, Stephen, are you quoting French essayist and novelist Anaïs Nin at the beginning of this week's show and the concept of perception? Well, dear listener, I thought that this week we'd delve into being wrong about an artist at the start and then growing to love them through the lens of Irish songwriter Cmat and her brand new single, Running Planning. And as always, at the top of the show, I like to say that the last mixtape runs almost entirely on vibes and artistry. So this will be not so much a review of the new song or a review of Cmat's career overall, but my thoughts through the lens of perception, through an artistic lens, and through the lens of vibes about her music and what it means to a culture, what it means to me, what it means to artistry, and what it means in the broader sense. So please come with me as we delve into the music of Cmat. It's funny how an artist can sit in front of you and yet you're not really seeing them. When I first heard Another Day KFC, I was hooked. It was witty, playful and incredibly heartfelt. When it came to Rodney and I Want to Be a Cowboy Baby, I wasn't sure. It felt like Cmat's persona was taking centre stage, almost like the humour was more important than the music. I liked her music, but I hadn't fully fallen for it yet. This all changed when I reviewed her debut album, If My Wife Knew, I'd Be Dead, which I reviewed for the last mixtape in its written form before we moved over to video. And from the very opening track, Nashville, I was absolutely captivated and my perception changed. The humour was all there, but as I listened, I understood the perception and the ability to deliver the songwriting and artistry through that prism and through that lens. Gone was my perception that the humour and the punchline was the main thing, and it was replaced with understanding the heartbreak and emotion taught and portrayed through that lens. This is when I realised I had misunderstood Cmat. I was too focused on the punchlines and the videos to really understand how she was crafting her work. Nashville felt like a confession wrapped in rhinestones, and by the time I got to tracks like Peter Bogdanovich and No More Virgos, I wasn't just listening, I was invested. Cmat was more than what I had perceived. She was telling stories about loneliness, love and loss, all through the lens of country pop that felt uniquely hers. There was, indeed, punchlines to the poetry. Indeed, If My Wife Knew I'd Be Dead pulled me in, it was her second album, Crazymad, for me that cemented just how much I adored the music of Cmat. Again, with the opening track, California, I was pulled into the world of Cmat's music and indeed the album, but it was the track Stay for Something that really captivated me. With its swing for the fences pop sound, it became one of my favourite tracks of the year, and indeed on my end of year Spotify playlist, it was one of the most played. I believe at this point of recording this video that Stay for Something is at this moment the zenith of Cmat's songwriting, her at her pop best. Indeed, it is a track that transcends the album itself, and it is an amazing album, but pushes Cmat far beyond her 2-album career thus far. Through the release of Stay for Something, Cmat wasn't just playing with the genre of pop and playing up to the ideas of being a pop star, she was deconstructing it, deconstructing what it means to be a pop star and deconstructing what it sounds like, delivering an absolute banger with, again, that heartfelt, emotional, raw undercurrent along with the humour. Stay for Something has that anthemic, almost ABBA-esque pulse that lifts you up. But the lyrics, they're drenched in uncertainty and emotional exhaustion. It was then that I saw the depth of Cmat's songwriting. She was an artist with range, depth and an ability to reinvent herself while staying completely true to her own voice. And now, with Running Planning, Cmat's taken that growth even further. It's a song about escaping, planning your life while running from the past. But what hit me hardest is how the arrangement mirrors the emotional push and pull. There's a weight to her voice now, a confidence that wasn't obvious before. Cmat's humour hasn't gone anywhere, but it's anchored by something deeper. I'm genuinely excited to see what she does with her brand new album, Euro Country. Here's the thing, sometimes it takes time to fall in love with an artist. Sometimes you only see the superficial, you don't see the depth underneath, you don't see the undercurrent. And that was true for me with the music of Cmat. in this one, I was taught a lesson, and a very important lesson, dear listener and dear viewer. Indeed, especially as somebody who is around the kind of the music critic, music reviewer, music blog man type of thing, you can often get kind of caught up in like the idea of cool and what isn't cool and what's good and what's bad. And you can also sometimes, I think, have sometimes a healthy, but sometimes a distrust of hype, sometimes a distrust of an artist being pushed that you might think is kind of moving beyond other artists and stuff like that. So there's sometimes when all the scene is saying something, there is a need sometimes to kind of go, well, what's facing the other way? I think with the music of Cmat, I definitely fell into that. I definitely fell into that trap. As I said at the beginning, I loved that track Another Day. And I felt it had a kind of almost a Jenny Lewis, kind of almost Rilo Kiley feel to it, especially Jenny Lewis Fur Rabbit Coat, I think, Rabbit Fur Coat album she made. And it definitely felt like that. And I thought this was great. And the subsequent two songs, Rodney, I Want to Be a Cowboy, it kind of lost me in that way. I think I was caught up in the idea of cool. I was caught up in the idea of what it meant to be kind of an indie artist or whatever. Like that, all these kind of cliched, kind of, arseholey music reviewer type things that you do. It's an interesting thing, you can kind of get caught up in that. And I think once one song hit, I kind of, I must be right. And you're kind of caught in the idea of right, and you're caught in that perception. I think that can happen with a number of artists. I have frequently said at one point at the very beginning of Fontaine's, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think much of the name, to be perfectly honest with you, and I was like, oh well, what's it going to be? I was wrong, and then subsequently I've gone back and admitted I was wrong, and subsequently gone back and said this is great music. I think sometimes we all have that within us. We all have that kind of feeling sometimes with an artist. We have a perception, or there's some reason we're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I like that, and I don't know this and don't know that. And how great it is and how gratifying it is when you're proven to be wrong, and how good it is to feel free enough to say that, especially in this realm, and especially in the realm of kind of commentating on music or whatever it is that I do here. And commentating on art, you can be wrong in a number of things, and it's good to go back on something and go, you know what, actually. And I think that moment listening to If My Wife Knew I'd Be Dead and reviewing it, I went into it with the kind of feeling, well, I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to write this type of review. And that can happen. How brilliant it was when Nashville came through the speakers, and you're like, oh, whoa, what is this? And I was like, I remember I didn't even play the full album the first time, which I normally would do. I just play it and walk around. And I just played Nashville, and I was like, I need to listen to that again. I need to listen to Nashville. That was such a beautiful track, and the rest of the album so well constructed. And again, I think with Crazymad for me, opening with California itself, a kind of an escapism type track. It'd be very interesting to see on Euro Country whether or not she does the same thing. Is it another city in America that she's kind of thinking about escaping to? She's thinking about getting away from everything, getting away from oneself, and can you get away from oneself? It's that part of Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast, that you can never actually escape your problems by moving city. It's a very interesting thing, and I think she's a very interesting artist. I've seen her live 2 times. I've seen her at the Olympia when she did the kind of the panto type show, I think that she called it, which was amazing. It was an incredible performance, incredible singer, songwriter, incredible presence on stage and the show and everything like that. Would not to mention like that aspect of things, the performativity of her on stage as an artist, and that kind of persona. Match that with, I saw her at the Choice Prize when she was just with an acoustic guitar, no band, playing songs, and once again had I think, her and Lankum that night were the 2 best performers. She had the crowd in the palm of her hand, just with an acoustic guitar, just with the songs that she wrote. That kind of cliche of, can the song stand on its own with an acoustic guitar? And it could, but I think it's even better when she has all the trappings of the pop kind of sound and stuff like that. So again, the idea of being wrong about an artist, the idea of your expectations and your perceptions being subverted is, I think a gratifying one. I think it's such an interesting one, especially, in indie music, especially from music, folk contributors, critics, commentator people, the ability to say that you were wrong. And I think definitely, hands up, I was totally wrong about Cmat at the beginning, because it is music now that I'm very much look forward to listening to. And as I say, it's on my playlist. It's something that I listen to. And again, the idea of humor being kind of the message, and humor being the way that the message is portrayed is so powerful and so well done, and such a part of our music that I wasn't quite getting that at the beginning. And there's precedent for that. Morrissey obviously did it in the 80s, and lots of people have done it where they've used humour to convey deeper emotion. And I think there's something incredibly gratifying about that. Yeah, Cmat. I was wrong about her, and I'm glad I was. Anaïs Nin said, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." I, at the beginning, did not see Cmat for what she was. A brilliant songwriter who balances humour with heart. And now I can't stop listening. But what about you? What artists have you listened to at the beginning went, absolutely not, I'll never listen to it again, they're absolutely terrible, I'll never listen to it. And then after a while, they grab you, they pull you in with something that they've done, some new music, some new album, and you go back and you listen to all the other stuff, and you go back with maybe a new perspective, maybe a new view on that artist and their music. Maybe it's the opposite way around. Maybe you loved an artist and it's something and then you no longer love it. Our perceptions change. Our ideas of music do often change. Our idea on art and culture often change, and that's what's so great about it. So what about you? Do you love Cmat? Did you find it? Did you have the same journey I had? Did you feel that it took a while? Is it cool that you listen to her now? What is it about this artist that you love? Let me know. And what is it about music that you love? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Yes, dear listener. They seek him here, they seek him there. Those musos seek him everywhere. Is he in heaven or is he at the disco? The damned elusive Count of Monte playlist. Oh, yes. The style and profile limousine Ryan Jeff Line playlist making son of a gun has once again returned from the shores of Playlistia to bring you another beautiful bounty in the form of TLMT's Irish mixtape on Spotify. Anywhere ever you want to listen to music, I don't really care. Just listen to music, it's great. Here on the last mixtape, let us begin with Red Stamp and their brand new single, Dancing with My Baby. Brand new band, Red Stamp, and I absolutely adore the neon, hazy, kind of texturally beautiful and kind of danceable, late night kind of danceable sound of this indie music, indie pop, whatever you want to kind of call it. It's very, very cool. The minute you kind of press play and it's like, oh, this is incredibly cool music. Cool people most likely listen to this. And indeed it is. And in all the best possible ways. It has that hazy kind of-ness to it. It has that kind of loose hang feel to it. The rhythm is beautiful. Kind of, I don't know the proper name for that actual beat, but I would call it kind of like a Latin rhythm that's on the undercurrent of it. And it is absolutely a beautiful, hazy indie track with lots of textures, lots of danceabilities. Incredibly cool. Possibly cool. Too cool for school. Who knows? But it's a great, great track. It's on the playlist. It's not too cool for the Count of Monte playlist, though, I should say. I'm wearing shades. And for anyone who's saying, oh, hey, Stephen White and the Count of Monte playlist, so they sure do look alike. Obviously not. I'm wearing shades. Count of Monte playlist is very different. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Red Stamp and their brand new single, Dancing with My Baby. It's on the playlist. Check it out. Up next, we have Roe and The Moment's Gone. A firm favourite here at the last mixtape is Roe and has been counted several times by the Count of Monte playlist for the Irish mixtape. And indeed, this track is no different. A bit short and sweet, this one, under 3 minutes, but it has all of that heartfelt and again, once again, kind of hazy, gentle feel that her music portrays. It does quite a lot with kind of minimalism and sparseness and really lets everything rest on the hushed type vocal that Roe portrays throughout The Moment's Gone. It's a beautiful, beautiful track by a great, great songwriter on the Irish music scene and somebody who's always recreating and really changing her sound up and changing her songwriting up as well. And this is no different. The Moment's Gone, but the moment to listen... The moment to listen to Rose, The Moment's Gone, is on the playlist. It's on the Count of Monte playlist, so go check it out. And indeed, from one favourite at the last mixer to another, from Roe to Ailse, press start. Indeed, a new track from Ailse, a foreign favourite here on the last mixtape of the Count of Monte playlist, though. And indeed, I absolutely, as I've said before, I love the kind of kitchen sink element of this music. It's all in there, it's kind of metal aspects to it. There's punk pop aspects to it. There's like quite a lot in the mixing pot texturally and genre-wise in this. And what I've said a few times is it's very interesting and very important and incumbent indeed on a music scene to have a myriad myriad of different voices and different sounds going on with it. We can't all just have the one sound. And I think Ailse delivers something quite singular in the way she delivers her music, and Press Start is no different, with the big kind of production, with a lot going on, with the sounds going on, and indeed that big kind of scream, cacophonous kind of thing going on. I really, really like it. I really like the attitude of it. I really like the artistry of it. I like the difference of it. I like that it adds something to the scene that is a little different, and it's kind of left of field. And I think we've spoken about it before. There sometimes is a snobbery around certain types of music. There is a snobbery around certain scenes within the Irish music scene that are probably not as covered as they should be. And I think Ailse is definitely bridging a gap, indeed, between those types of things. So check it out. Ailse, you can press start on the playlist and listen to Ailse's song Press Start by the Count of Monty playlist though has chosen and decreed. Next we have I Dreamed I Dream with their brand new single Fags, and I absolutely, yes, once again, quite like the Ailse track. I really, really like the feel and the sound of this track. It's quite abstract. It has a very kind of, I don't want to say nihilistic kind of synth kind of feel to it, but it is once again kind of fulfilling that difference, that other, that need for diversity in sound and in style in the Irish music scene. And indeed they provide it with this incredibly cool track Fags, because I think it captures something. It captures an attitude. It captures a kind of laissez-faire kind of, a Generation Purdue kind of feel to it. And I really, really like this. And I really like this, guys. The minute I pressed play on it, I thought this is a lot of fun. And it is indeed a lot of fun. I think I've seen kind of, like a myriad of styles be put into this. And then kind of on top of that, I Dreamed I Dream have put themselves into it and created something quite singular and quite different and quite needed. And I really, really like this track. We've covered them before on the last mixtape, I Dreamed I Dream. They've been covered again with their brand new single, Fags. Check it out. It's on the playlist. And indeed, filling out this week's 5 tracks from the Count of Monty playlist, though, it is Taylor D and her brand new song, Born to Love You. And indeed, just kind of filling out kind of the genre changes and different types of genre and different types of sound and the importance therein of having a myriad of music at your disposal when you have a music scene, any music scene indeed. And Taylor D with a kind of like an indie rock, almost leaning more towards the kind of classic idea of rock kind of sound through a more modern lens and modern production. Born to Love You indeed fills that kind of sound, a kind of pop rock pop, whichever way you want to put those two words together. It really, really fits, and it swings for those fences, and it gets it in a very satisfying way. And I think it's cool to see again artists kind of delve into different genres, delve into things that are out on their own, or out on their own in the sense of what is seen as to be the music of the moment, and creating new sounds and creating differences and creating singular paths for themselves. And I do believe Born to Love You by Taylor D does exactly that and adds, as I say, to the myriad of sound on the Count of Monty playlist, and it is indeed on the playlist, so check it out. But dear listener and dear viewer, that is it from the Count of Monty playlist. So for yet another week, I will delve back and come up with new music next week. But as always, as I say, do not be bound by geographical locations or indeed your own perceptions, as we were saying at the start, or the other guy was saying at the start of this week's episode. Always, it's important to broaden your mind and listen to as much music as you want. These are just 5 tracks from the Irish music scene that I really liked, but there's been loads of music this week, loads of different sounds, not just from Ireland, from everywhere. And you should go listen to whatever you want, whatever you like, however you like. Don't try to just be cool and just listen to this one thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. But what you should do, dear listener, is listen to the Count of Monty playlist on Spotify. So it goes, and there it went. But before I go, thank you for listening, viewing and watching the Last Mixtape podcast here on YouTube, Apple and indeed on Spotify. If you want to get in touch with the Last Mixtape podcast, please email me at stephen@thelastmixtape.com and I will respond to your correspondence in due course. But for now, that was the Last Mixtape podcast. I was Stephen White. You were the listener. Hey, so long.